September 26th, 1983. Just past midnight, in a secret bunker south of Moscow, a red screen suddenly lights up with one word: launch. The computer is certain an American nuclear missile is on its way to the Soviet Union. In that room sits one man, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov, 44 years old. Protocol says he has to pick up the phone and report a nuclear attack. And if he does, there's a very good chance the Soviet Union fires back. For real. This is the story of how one software bug brought us closer to World War III than almost any other moment in history, and how one tired engineer decided not to end the world. To understand why this night was so dangerous, you need to know what 1983 was like. Many historians call it the single most dangerous year of the entire Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union weren't just rivals. They were convinced the other side was about to strike first. 3 weeks earlier, the Soviets had shot down a civilian airliner. Korean Airlines Flight 007 had drifted into Soviet airspace, and an interceptor blew it out of the sky. 269 people died, including a U.S. congressman. The world was furious. Meanwhile, the Soviet leadership was genuinely terrified. Yuri Andropov, the aging head of the USSR, was convinced America was planning a surprise nuclear attack. He'd even launched a massive intelligence operation, Operation Ryan, with one job: find the signs of the coming first strike. So picture it. Two superpowers, tens of thousands of warheads, both sides paranoid, both fingers on the trigger. All it would take is one mistake. That mistake was waiting in a bunker called Serpukhov 15, the command center of the Soviet early warning system, codenamed OKO. The Eye. OKO was a ring of satellites watching the American missile fields around the clock. Their job: spot the bright flame of a launching intercontinental ballistic missile and flash a warning to Moscow within seconds. And on the night of September 26th, the man on duty was Stanislav Petrov. Here's the thing about Petrov. He wasn't a career soldier. He was an engineer, one of the people who had helped build this very system. He knew the computers, and he knew they weren't perfect. 15 minutes past midnight. The sirens scream. Giant red letters spell launch. The system reports a Minuteman missile lifting off from a base in the United States. Reliability of the detection, highest possible. Petrov's job in this moment was brutally simple: confirm the warning and pass it up the chain to the Soviet leadership. What happened next would be out of his hands, and the doctrine of the day was launch on warning. You don't wait for impact. You fire back while you still can. An intercontinental missile takes about 25 to 30 minutes to fly from America to the Soviet Union. Subtract the time the leadership needs to decide and launch, and Petrov had maybe 10-15 minutes to say one word: real or false. And something felt wrong. Why one missile? If America was really starting World War III, you don't send one missile and wait politely. You launch everything you have, all at once, to wipe out the other side's response. One lonely missile made no sense. Then the screen lit up again. A second launch, then a third, a fourth, a fifth. Now, the system was reporting a full missile attack, and it was screaming it with maximum confidence. Imagine the room. Sirens howling, red light washing over the consoles, dozens of officers all turned toward one man, waiting for his call. Petrov had one more piece of the puzzle: ground radar. The horizon radars couldn't see any missiles yet, but that proved nothing. They physically couldn't detect warheads until minutes later. And by the time radar confirmed anything, it might be too late to retaliate. So he reasoned. The system was new. He knew that. 5 missiles was still way too few for a first strike. He knew that too. And underneath it all, an engineer's gut feeling: the computer was wrong. He picked up the phone and reported: system malfunction. False alarm. Years later, he admitted he was never sure. He put his own odds at 50-50. A coin flip with civilization on the other side. Then came the worst part: waiting. If he was wrong, in about 15 minutes nuclear warheads would start detonating across the Soviet Union. and the last thing he'd ever know is that it was his call. 15 minutes passed. Nothing. 20. Nothing. No explosions. No missiles. Petrov was right. There was no attack. So what actually happened? Sunlight. The satellites watched the American missile fields from a special high orbit. And on that exact night, near the autumn equinox, the sun, high-altitude clouds over North Dakota, and a satellite lined up perfectly. Sunlight bounced off the clouds straight into the sensors. The software was supposed to filter out exactly this kind of false signal. It didn't. To the algorithm, the glare looked just like the burning engines of launching missiles. 5 reflections. 5 phantom missiles. 1 bug. In the worst possible place, at the worst possible time. You'd think Petrov got a medal. He didn't. The investigation turned awkward. Rewarding him would mean admitting that the brand-new, hugely expensive system had nearly started a nuclear war. Officially, he was criticized for not filling out the logbook correctly. He quietly left the army a year later. And then, silence. The whole incident stayed top secret for 15 years. Even Petrov's own wife had no idea. The world only found out in 1998 when a retired Soviet general published his memoirs. Late in life, the recognition finally came. International awards, a documentary, headlines calling him the man who saved the world. Petrov himself hated that phrase. He said, "I was just doing my job. I was simply the right person in the right place at the right time." He died quietly in 2017. Now, would the Soviets really have launched if Petrov had reported an attack? We can't know for sure. Other safeguards might have caught it. But in the paranoia of 1983, with minutes on the clock and the system screaming maximum confidence, nobody wants to find out how that story ends. And here's the scary part. This wasn't even the only time. In 1980, a faulty 46-cent computer chip told American command that thousands of Soviet missiles were inbound. In 1995, Russia mistook a Norwegian science rocket for a nuclear strike, and President Yeltsin had the nuclear briefcase open in front of him. Every one of those moments has the same pattern: a machine-said attack and a human-said wait. The systems were supposed to be smarter, faster, and more reliable than people. And every single time, it was a human's doubt that saved us. Which is worth remembering today, as militaries talk about putting AI deeper into early warning and command systems. Machines don't have gut feelings. A computer can be confidently, catastrophically wrong, and a 50-50 coin flip is not something you want to automate. 1 bug, 5 phantom missiles, and a single engineer who chose to doubt his own machine. That's how close it came. If you enjoyed this story, there are plenty more close calls where this one came from. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.